Okay. A very good morning to all of you and a very happy New Year. This is the first time I am seeing you for this year, and it's always nice to come to BSV and meet with very hard practicing, enthusiastic, dedicated group of Buddhists. When I come to BSV, I see different kind of Buddhists actually who are quite interested in listening to Dhamma, not only to listen but as well as to practice. So this is a good time to start because this is the new year. Recently I saw a cartoon. There was the father and the son was asking, Daddy, what is a New Year resolution? And the father was answering, Son, it's something, a list of things that we do only for the first week of the year. Okay? So now we don't have the first week, but still we have not gone to the second month of this year. So you still can be determined that you will gain something out of Dhamma this year. When Buddha says that aging, sickness, death and all the problems that we get is Dhamma, to get sick and we don't get aged, we don't mature with consent. As long as these things are happening to us, that means we can practice Dhamma. So for those who understand Dhamma very well, there is no separate time to practice. You will be constantly practicing. As long as you get sick, as long as you grow old, everything that happens can be reflected as Dhamma if you can clearly see these things in relation to Dhamma. So if you think that meditation, keeping precepts and following Buddha's words are very difficult, the only thing that we understand through practice is it's difficult in the beginning. So I was quite interested, are we the only people, are we the only Buddhists who find this Dhamma difficult to practice? So during the past few months, I went through the whole Tripitaka to find out whether there are any complaints made to Buddha saying that your teachings are quite difficult for us. I came up with few monks who said, who talked to Lord Buddha and say, Bhante, this is too much for us, we cannot do. So I came with this special incident that comes in Samyutta Nikaya. What is the first chapter in Samyutta Nikaya? It's a Devata Samyutta, which is devoted to Devas. The second chapter is Devaputta Samyutta. That chapter is devoted to, that chapter is dedicated to young Devas. So in this chapter, there's a sutta named Kamada Sutta. The Devaputta means this young Deva's name is Kamada. So one time, Kamada came to meet Lord Buddha and say, Bhante, it's difficult. Bhante, it's very difficult. Dukkarang Bhante, Sudukkarang Bhagavati. As I remember, I didn't bring the Pali text because there's no point in directly giving you the Pali terms, but I brought the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. You can find this sutta in Samyutta Nikaya, Devaputta Samyutta and Kamada Sutta in Bhikkhu Bodhi's translations of the Samyutta Nikaya. So when Kamada told Lord Buddha, Bhante, it's very difficult to get established in Dhamma, to practice Dhamma, to be a monk, Lord Buddha answered like this, Kamada, even if it is difficult, there are people who will do difficult things. They will take the path with a trainee, with Sila, who is committed and who has gone forth. They will ultimately find contentment. Then Kamada said, Bhante, it's very difficult to have contentment. It's very difficult. Do you see any difference between us and Kamada? We always say difficult, yes? So he didn't end up with the first question when Buddha say, okay, you keep your sila, you keep your training rules, then you will find happiness. Then again Kamada said, Bhante, even it's very difficult to find contentment like that. In the second verse, Buddha explains, if you can tame your mind, if you can do meditation day and night, ultimately you will find that calmness of mind called concentration. Then Kamada again complained, Bhante, it's very hard to concentrate your mind. It's very hard to concentrate your mind. Another question. Then again Lord Buddha explains, Kamada, it's easy to, not easy, you can concentrate your mind through calming your senses, and having cut through the net of Mara. What is the relationship between calming your senses? What is the relationship between concentration and cutting the net of Mara? When somebody sits down for meditation, and when you say you go into samadhi, what are we suppressing here? The 5 hindrances. When there is no 5 hindrances with you, Mara cannot see us, because we are away from hindrances. We are even for that little moment we don't have defilements within us. That's why in this verse Buddha says, for those who tame their senses, they cut through the net of the Mara, and still nobles go on their way. Then finally Kamada says, Bhante, it's very difficult to tread on the path. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to go on this path, uneven and impassable. The word that is used by Bhikkhu Bodhi is impassable. That's the true translation. Because for you, even like for the practicing person, we always get this doubt, can we do this? Can we pass this? Can we cross over? So he is implying the same thing and telling Lord Buddha, this is impassable and uneven. Then Buddha explains, Kamada, the noble ones take the path even if it is uneven and impassable. For the headstrong person, they make the uneven path even. For those who are ignorant, they fall upside down. But for who are committed with all the qualities that we said in the beginning, they can still continue with the path. The noble ones become even among the uneven. Now, do you get the point? Okay, now we have to go through the most important points Lord Buddha gave here. The first one is trainee. What is a trainee? What is the Pali term for trainee? Sorry? Sekha. Good. I don't have a lolly, otherwise I should have given you Sekha. And Sila. Okay. In the second verse, calming your mind, which is concentration. Calming your senses, that is guarding your sense doors. So I was looking for a sutta, I was looking for another discourse given by Lord Buddha for you to come up with all these things in one discourse, so we can learn about these training rules. I found a sutta called Sekha-Sutta. When you say Sekha, what does it mean? Training. In the Thai Pali canon, it goes as Sekha-patipada Sutta. When you say Sekha-Sutta, it means the way of the learner. Have you gone through this sutta before? Way of the learner, way of the trainee, way of the one who is going on the path. Are we learners at the end of the day? If you say we are seekers, we are not seekers. We are not learners according to Buddhist terms. We are learning, we are still learning to be a learner. Please understand that. Okay? Here Sekha means the 3 lower levels of enlightenment. Sotapanna, Sakudagami, Anagami. Stream winner, once returner, non-returner, and an arhat, or the one who has reached Nibbana, is called an adept or aseka. So still, these rules, these training rules applies to us because we are on our way to Nibbana. That's why these training rules are important. So when I studied this sutta, I went to my master and asked, these guidelines are for a person who is already reached the Sotapanna level. Does this apply to you? Then he didn't answer. Then he wanted me to go through the commentary. When I read the commentary, it says, for anybody who wants to get enlightened within this lifetime should follow these training rules. Okay, now let's go to Sekha-patipada Sutta. I am not going to come up with the narrative leading to this sutta, but I will come up with the points in the sutta. What is the first? There are 15 training rules for the person who is interested in reaching enlightenment. First one is Sila Samvara. What does it mean by Sila Samvara? You are restrained through precepts. No, Sila. This is Sila. This is clearly Sila. How many precepts do we take on a daily basis as a Buddhist? 5. We take 5, but it's a question whether we keep all 5 of them. Yes, but here it is encouraged that you have to have Ajiva Attamaka Sila. I will explain what are those 8 precepts. It's included in the 5 precepts also. If you keep 5 precepts well, you are doing the 8 precepts automatically. Everybody knows what 5 precepts are, but do you know how you have to keep your precepts? Buddha explains you have to have some kind of a standard when you are keeping your precepts. Your precepts should have these 8 qualities or these 8 standards when you are maintaining them. Does anybody know how to see whether your precepts are broken or not? The 8 ways. It should not be torn. Where does a piece of cloth get torn? From the end, probably, yes. So we call it Akandani. In Pali term is Akandani. Your precept should not be torn from the beginning and at the end. When we were at college, when we go to functions, we take 5 precepts. And with my friends, we sit down and say, okay, Panatipata. Then when it comes to Sura, Mere, Majjapama, Dattana, we used to say, no, we cannot be taking that. It's not going to happen today. So like that, you cannot ignore one precept out of the 5 from the beginning or at the end. And the second one is, first one, what's the first term that I use? It should not be torn. Second one is, it should not be hold. Hold from where? From the middle. So you cannot be breaking any precepts from the middle. So some people might have all the qualities, but they might not be keeping the 3rd precept. Okay? So you cannot ignore any out of these 5 precepts or 8 precepts that I'm going to explain later. You have to have all or none. The 3rd term that we are using here is blotched. Blotched means asabalani, broken to a consecutive order. You should not be breaking your precepts. The first 3 is not totally there, or the lower 3 is not totally there. Something like that. And you should not be breaking your sila here and there. And your precepts should be liberating. When you say our precepts should be liberating, how should our sila be liberating? There are certain monks, even in forest monasteries, they give sila priority, but they only keep sila. They are so bound to it, they are so they grasp Sila very much. So it's not a liberating way that you keep Sila. Even Sila should be taken in a way that it will bring you liberation. The next one is, Sila should not be taken with wrong view or craving. When you start keeping Sila, there will be a lot of things happening to you. People start respecting you. People start giving things to you. So you should not keep a Sila to show that you are superior, that you hold this Sila and you are different to others, or that's called false view. There were, during Buddha's time, there were a lot of ascetics who thought that they were keeping a Sila by standing with one foot, standing upside down, this and that, but those are not Sila. And the last one and the most important one is, your Sila should aid in your bhavana, should aid in concentration. If you are keeping good Sila, that means you are maintaining mindfulness, because you are not going to break any of these Silas. You continue to be aware what you are doing with your verbally, physically and mentally. Sila doesn't cover the mental part, but when you start looking at your precepts, you will have a mental effort also to be pure and virtuous. Do you understand how you should be keeping your Sila? Just not taking it, just like you take it and you don't do something, but when you don't want to follow something, you cannot ignore any of these rules or noble principles. That's how you keep your Sila. I said Ajiva Attamaka Sila. What does it mean? What are the 8 precepts? The first one is the same. You should not be killing. You should not be stealing. You should not be sexually misconducting. I appreciate if you talk with me, then it's interesting rather than only listening to me. And the fourth one is speech. Yes, speech. Included in this musavada, there are other 3 components. Backbiting words, what is that? Pisuna vacha. Swear words, parusa vacha. Sammapalapa is gossip. And what is the last one? That you should not bear the false view. These are the 8 precepts. If you maintain these 8 precepts with these training rules, it is said that you are on the proper path. Do you understand what does it mean by Sila Samvara now? You have to have Sila within you. You have to have a set of noble principles that you have to follow. When you are following it, you are not supposed to be breaking it from the beginning or at the end or from the middle or consecutive order or here and there. You should not take it with craving. You should not take with false views. And you should not, it should aid in your concentration. The next one is Indriya Samvara. Can you come up with the English term? Indriya Samvara? Controlling your, guarding your doors. What are the doors that we have? I mean, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, the tactile or the tangibles, and the mind. How can we guard these doors? The idea here is not to take the sign or the detail of any object. So you will not be reacting to it. I saw a quote by Johnny Depp, and he has said, you can close your eyes to the things that you don't want to see, but can you close your heart to the things that you don't want to feel? This was given by Johnny Depp. I was so surprised for his wisdom. Then I never believed. He's a popular person. I don't know when I should be addressing. I should be questioning his wisdom like this. But I knew it came from somewhere else. Then I turned to the Tripitaka. Then I found this was said by Buddha. Okay. If you want to, I will explain later. Okay. So this was said by Buddha. it comes in the narrative in the last sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, Indriya Bhavana Sutta. I will talk about that sutta later on. But if you want to practice, you need to refer to this sutta. It comes in a very detail. So the idea is that you should be controlling your senses. It's very important. If you start reacting to each and everything that you see, hear, smell, feel, and if you start reacting to all the dreams that you get in your mind, you will not have a calm mind. That's why it's very important for the person who is practicing that you guard your senses. As a monk, we are recommended that we keep our head low all the time when we are walking and doing something, not to look straight at objects. But it's not the right way of doing the Indriya Bhavana. Like I said, it's explained later in a later sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, the detailed one, very interesting. Did I tell you the story who was doing Indriya Samvara, a monk, one of my monk friends who went to? Did I tell you that? No. So we are recommended that if you are a good monk, when you go like this, looking down, we believe that he is restrained. So he had a tummy ache, one of my friends who is in Myanmar now. I will also tell you how I got to know the story. So he has gone to the hospital in Hambantota. This is a hospital, village area in Sri Lanka. He has gone to the hospital and he never looked up to see who the doctor was. But he know from the sound this is a lady. So she went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, I'm having a tummy ache." So because doctor is not, now the patient is not keeping eye contact, doctor writes in the medical card saying that the patient is going through depression. He needs a psychiatric referral. So he was put in an ambulance, sent to Colombo, to the mental hospital, to get a psychiatric opinion. So he went through the same stomachache in Myanmar where I was called, and he explained this story to me. But in Myanmar, it was a different drama. He said he was asked to do a colonoscopy, but the surgeon was a lady surgeon again. So he didn't allow the lady to touch him. So there was no alternative other than anesthetizing him. So we anesthetized the monk, and when we woke up, we told, no, you were not touched by a woman, everything was done by somebody else. So this is why it's not going to do like that. If you think like you keep your head always down, it doesn't mean that you are doing Indriya Bhavana, but you are taking an effort not to react. So if you keep your head up all the time, you will see a lot of things. But if you keep your head down, you are not being overwhelmed by things. So idea is to look less, see more. Hear less, listen more. Smell less, sniff more. Smell less, breathe more. Okay? Eat less, taste more. You're good at that, yes? Touch less, feel more. And what's the last one? Think less, watch more. Yes, there's a saying when you say, please keep in touch. Yes. What does it say? What do you say? Huh? Please keep in touch, but don't keep touching. Yes. Okay, like that. So the idea is that you should not be, when it comes to Indriya Samvara Sila, any object that you take from your Indriyas, you should be determined that you should not be taking its sign or detail. You just cannot do this intentionally. There is a prescribed way of training your mind. This is where you have to refer to Indriya Bhavana Sutta, and there's another nice sutta that comes in Samyukta Nikaya called Pindola Bharadwaja Sutta, which if I have time I will talk to you in the future, explaining what is the purpose of this sutta. What is the third one? What is the third one? Can somebody tell me what is the meaning of Jagariyanu Yoga? This is the third training rule. That you are devoted to wakefulness. You are devoted to wakefulness. What does it mean we are devoted? Are we devoted to sleeping? Huh? Do you think are we devoted to sleeping? You don't have to be devoted, you will fall asleep one way or another. But Buddha says because we sleep too much, our life is so short, and the dukkha in samsara is very much. With the little time that we spend as human beings, we should utilize our time to the maximum. That's why he came up with the term Jagariyanu Yoga, your devotion to wakefulness. What is the prescribed amount of sleeping hours? 8 hours a day. Can somebody please give me the time that we spend awake? 24 minus 8? 16 hours we are awake. Can somebody please multiply 16 into 30? 480. So that's the hours that we are awake during a month. Can somebody please multiply 480 by 12? 5,760. Now can somebody divide this by 12? 240 days we are awake. All other 125 days we are asleep. So people who are telling we have 365 days a year, all we have is 240 days a year. How unfortunate. And all other 125 days we are sleeping. In Sri Lanka we have only 150 above public holidays. Imagine. So that's why Buddha is giving us a teaching. We should use this time, 240 days, in a proper way. According to Buddha, he's increasing the time span that we are awake through the teaching. The term Jagariyana Yoga means he prescribed. This teaching comes for a monk, but for lay people also, it's very important that you take this teaching into practice. During morning hours until it's evening, you have to be mindful with everything that you do. Mainly you have to do sitting and walking meditation. When the noon comes, during the early watch means from 6 o'clock to 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You have to be mindful with your sitting and walking. What is the middle watch? 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Yes, who came with 2 a.m.? How do you know? You don't know? Yeah. Very good. You can read the rest of the sutta also. Then 2 a.m. Is the time that we have, that is the allowance for sleeping. How many hours? 4 hours. If you are a serious practitioner, that's the only hours that we have time for sleeping. But if you are taking a Dhutanga, you will not be, you will be sleeping, but still you will not be lying down. So let me change my posture. What is the early watch? The morning time starts from 2 to 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a prescribed way of sleeping for a monk. We call it the lion's posture. Who knows the lion's posture? When we, like monks who are getting ordained, they all want to follow these rules and they start sleeping like lions in their first 2-3 days as a monk. But they wake up like everybody else. It is said that you sleep to your right lateral position, slightly bending your right leg, overlapping the left. This is called the way of that the lion sleeps. It says in Dhamma, if the lion wakes, if the lion king usually go to sleep like this on the right lateral position, when he wakes up, if the position is not there, if he has not maintained the position in the morning, he will not go hunting. He will not eat all day. So I met with a young monk who was trying to do this position. And I made a challenge. Okay, if you don't wake up in the morning with the same position, I challenge you not to eat your meal during the day. So anyways, do we get the point here? Why we should be Why we should be devoted to wakefulness? Because now, during our day-to-day work, we only have 240 days a year, so we cannot take much out of it. Although we say, like, even if we say 240 days a year, what are we doing with these 240 days a year? Working. Most of the time, we are working. We are not practicing Dhamma. Okay? So it's a sad situation. Please take this into mind. Increase your time of practice. The next training rule is Bhojane Matanyuta. Everybody knows what's Bhojana. Food. Moderation in eating. Now, did Buddha say when you take your food, go for gluten-free, no, GMO-free, hormones-free? He never said that. But whatever the food that you are taking, how should a Buddhist reflect on that food? Yes. Can you come up with that sentence? I eat food wisely reflecting. I use food not for fun, not for fattening, not for beautification, not for pleasure, only for the maintenance and nourishment of my life, so that I may continue with my holy life for your maybe practicing life, so that I will not overeat without being fat, without being fattening, and I will live at ease, comfortably. So this is the way that we monks reflect every day in Pali. Patisankayoniso pindapatang patisevami. Do I have to go with the Pali term? It's easy for me to give you the Pali one rather than the English one. Let's repeat. Wisely reflecting, I use food not for fun, not for pleasure, not for fattening, not for beautification. Tell me an instance that you use food for beautification. Where do you keep your cucumbers? Where do you apply your avocados? Where do you put your carrots? That's for beautification, okay? Not for fattening. I had a very slim girl. I had one of my friends. She was one of my colleagues when I was at university. She had a big problem with her image, and she always asked, what's a good thing to get fat? Because I am a plump person. And what's your secret? I said, if you eat a condensed tin of milk every day, you will get fat. So after school, when we come back from university, we used to see her, keep the condensed milk directly on the hot plate. She continued with this for 1 week and 2, but she's still slim. Okay, a bad thing to do. So I say, why don't you try, condensed milk? It's so fattening that it might work. So that's when you use food for fattening. Some people want to get slim. Some slim people want to get fat. But that's not, you cannot do, you can achieve a certain amount, a level with food, but that's not the purpose here in Dhamma. We do what? We wisely reflect on it. There's an interesting point. How many nutriments that we can find in Buddhism? How many types of food that we have in Buddhism? I will give you the first one, the gross food, the kabalinkara ahara. It's the gross food that we eat, not the gross ones, the food that we can feel with our hands, and the material type of food. And there's also passahara. What does it mean, passahara? Senses, where you can feel. Okay, so when I go to a dana, we get food. Yes, so that's kabalinkara ahara. If somebody is bringing pirikara or gifts, I say, that's the passahara, you feel nice, things like that. The third one is mano sanchetanika ahara. All your daydreams, fantasizing, this is also food. And the last one is consciousness is also a type of food. But you must understand, there was a question made to Lord Buddha. Somebody comes to Lord Buddha and asks, when you say consciousness is food, are there any beings in this universe who eat consciousness? Then Buddha says, no, there are no animals in this world who eat consciousness but consciousness becomes a food for your next rebirth. In that way, you have to take consciousness as food. Can you understand the point here? The food that we eat every day is called gross foods, kabalinkara, ahara. When somebody touches you, kisses you, hugs you, that is called passahara. That is also a good feeling. Mano sanchetanika ahara means that you are feeding your mind with your daydreams, whatever the thing that you want to be, you want to become, fantasizing. This is called mano sanchetanika ahara. And the last one is consciousness is also type of a food. When Buddha was going on Pindapat, he was avoided, like Mara avoids the lunch. So Buddha comes empty-handed sometimes. But the Mara gets very sad and he comes and tells Buddha, Buddha, I did this for you, why don't you go again? I will make this happen. Then Buddha says, no, he used this gatha, Piti Bhakka Bhavisami Devanang Abhasara. He says, I will today not eat, but I will eat my happiness. I will not remain hungry, but I will rather feed myself with happiness through my enlightenment. Who knows Ajasattu? Ajasatta, the son of Brahma, who was the king, Bimbisara. When Bimbisara was put into jail, he was always happy. He was always walking here and there. He was always doing walking meditation. That's why his souls were cut and salted. So he was asking why my father is always happy and walking. He also explained, King Bimbisara also explained, I am enjoying the happiness. I am taking the happiness as a food out of my enlightenment. Now there is a nice explanation about food in the Visuddhimagga. There are 4 points that we have to contemplate. This comes in Visuddhimagga. Okay, the first one that we should remember, food goes in one place and comes out of? Huh? Obviously, that's another place. I mean, I'm asking how many places? According to Dhamma. 9 places. Okay, the food that we gets matured inside, get fermented, it comes out of your ears, it comes out of your eyes, nose, saliva, all other places that you can imagine. So they say, go in all by single door, but 9 doors come oozing out. Okay? The second quality of the food that we eat is, men like to eat in company, but to excrete in secrecy. This is coming, you can refer to, if you go through the Visuddhimagga page 336, you will find this. I am quoting directly out of Visuddhimagga. Men like, I would love to add, I would love to change this term, like men like to eat in company, but to excrete in secrecy, except in India. When I was traveling the last time when I was in India, there were men, just one next to the other. So I was so surprised. I've never seen this even in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, we don't have these things. We like secrecy. So I was asking another monk, look, this is, Bhante, look, this is happening here. And it's very common in India. There's nothing you have to be shameful about this. I said, but everything is out. So the whole village get to see what his, things are like, Then he said, yeah, the village also knows what a person is in this country. So things like that. Okay. So what is the second quality? Although we eat in public, we have to put it out in a very secretive way. That's also another thing that when you think about food, that's one part that you have. Then the third one is, man eats with high delight, but excrete with dumb disgust. Okay? When you are eating, what a wonderful smell. But after going to the toilet, can you say, what a wonderful poo? No, you cannot do. So this, you have to reflect on the nature, whatever we eat, this is what happens, This is what happens to our body also. The last one is, a single night is enough to bring them to putridity. What we eat today will become feces, excrement the next day. So there is nothing called tasty nourishment, what you eat so delightfully, it becomes something that you disgustingly throw away by next day. Can you remember these 4 things? There's a nice poem in Visuddhimagga, if you want to hang it on your 2 places you have to hang. The first one is your kitchen table, the second one is your commode. Yes? Okay, I remember. So, I took my mother to a forest monk to take Kammatthana. And he gave one advice to my mother. I was so surprised. Then my mother was asking, how can you do repulsiveness of food? Ahare patikula sanya. So then monk was telling my mother, why don't you chew a little bit and put all the food in your hand to see whether you can take it back. Can you do? Are you sure? But it was inside your mouth. So in that way, you can reflect. But there's no such kammatthana anywhere else. It doesn't come in the book. So it can be effective, but it doesn't come directly from Lord Buddha. So that's the kammatthana she received, and I don't know whether she's doing that. Maybe she's eating in secrecy now. Anyway. Because she cannot be doing things like that in the public. Okay, the next, now how many training rules I have given you? 4. What is the first one? Can we repeat again? You have to maintain sila according to the standards. You have to guard your senses according to the way prescribed to not to grasp the sign or detail. What is the third one? You should be devoted to wakefulness. The last one is you should have moderation in eating. Next four training rules are consecutively first, second, third, fourth jhanas. These are mental absorptions. Does everybody understand what a jhana is? It is access concentration. In a simple term, when you go into samatha meditation, first, second, third, fourth jhanas are consecutive orders that you go into concentration. So this is also, please remember, it's not part of your enlightenment, but it's more a prerequisite. But then I was again questioned whether you have to have jhana to reach enlightenment. So I went through the commentary again. They say, for those who are doing vipassana, you don't have to have the jhanas. Then again, when it comes to enlightenment within this life, again, you don't have to have jhanas. You can do with the rest. But if you have jhana, if you can attain jhana, if you can stay in jhana whenever you want, that is another plus. And please remember, this is also a training rule. That's why we do meditation most of the time. Those who are interested in meditation, what we are aiming at is this. Next 7 points are called Saddhammas. 7 Saddhammas. These 7 Saddhammas are common to all noble people. I mean, if you are an Arya, if you are an enlightened person, you will have these 7 Dhammas within you. What is the first one? Hiri. What does it mean, Hiri? Moral shame. You have to have some kind of shame within you. Here, what does it mean? Moral shame. You are shameful of doing wrong things in 3 ways. Verbally, physically, mentally. What are the 10 wrong things or 10 akusala kammas in Buddhism? These 10 can take you to hell. You have to know the bad things to get to know the good things. What is the first one? Killing? No, that is called 5 heinous crimes. Panchanantariya. Those are grave ones. It all comes under killing, no? Killing? Stealing. Okay, very good. Third one? Sexual misconduct. Okay, common sense here. You take time, what? Sexual misconduct or adultery. The fourth one? false speech, swear words, and gossip. And what's the other one? I will give you the Pali term, abidya. Not avidya, abidya. Abidya is strong, you are too stingy, You have, so stinginess, craving, too much, greediness. You never want to give anything away. And what's the other one? Anger, aversion, vyapada. The last one, the most important one? No. Ignorance is top of all these things. Huh? Tina midda, bearing false views. Do you understand now? These are the 10 things. Now, where's alcohol? It's not included for your sake. Okay. It's not included in the 10 akusala kammas because taking alcohol per se is not a crime. What you do after drinking all these things matters though. So, please remember. Okay, somebody can't come up with and say, okay, in the 10 akusala kammas that will take you to hell doesn't have alcohol, so I can easily take it. Even a monk asks a senior monk. The junior monk goes to the senior monk and asks, Bhante, is it okay to eat grapes? Then he says, yeah, no problem, we always get grapes. Is it okay to drink water? Then the senior monk says, yes, no problem. Then why can't we blend each other and make wine and drink? Then the senior monk was like, okay, if I throw water at you, is it painful? No, I like throwing water at me, it's fun. And then I put a little bit of sand at you, does it hurt? I say, no. Then why don't we mix together and make a brick and throw at you? Then will it be painful? Yes, like that. These are the things you should remember. Okay. Now, otappa. Hiri is moral shame. Otappa means? Huh? Fear. You have to have shame and you have to fear doing bad things also. Because we don't have hiri otappa, we do a lot of bad things. I would like to give the way how hiri otappa comes to us. But then again, I have to touch certain areas of Abhidhamma. I will not give you. But in the future, I will come indirectly and show you how 10 akusala dhammas will bring you 14 kinds of chaitasikas that are unwholesome. So, this hiri otappa belongs to those 14 akusala chaitasikas. Okay. Then again, otappa means what? Moral fear of doing what? Of doing these 10 akusala dhammas. In which ways? Through your mind, body and speech. Hiri otappa is covered. Then the next one is bahusutta. What does it mean, bahusutta? Bahusutta, another Pali term is bahusacca, that you have to acquire knowledge. Not only acquire knowledge, we have a term in Buddhism called sunata, dhareta, charata, dhamme. Sunata means is to listen. Dhareta means to carry it, to hold it, to bear it. Charata means to practice it. So whatever you hear today, you have to keep it in your mind. And you have to make a firm resolution that I am going to practice these things. So when you go out of here, are you reflecting when you eat here before you eat here? Do you never reflect, yes? But Christians, Catholics, they at least be thankful to their God, giving this food. But are we doing anything like that? So this is a must. That's why Buddha is directly telling, if you follow these rules, you can have a breakthrough. So you want to learn about Paticcasamuppada, dependent origination, this and that, but you don't want to keep a simple guideline. These are very simple. When you take your food, you reflect, I will not do it. Then you don't have to go to your dietitian, you don't have to have, then you might be asking why I am so fat. Okay? luckily there are something called genetics in this world. I say it's the genes. Then when I give the talk one time, a question came from the audience and they asked, Bhante, are you sleeping only 4 hours a day? So I told him, no, I sleep more than that, but at least I'm sleeping alone. So like that. So, minimize sleeping, minimize eating. You can eat. How many more meals does Buddha recommend you to eat? One, yes. But you are not monks. You have other work to do. You can have your 3 meals, but in moderation. So, Bahusutta means you acquire knowledge. If you are a Buddhist, that's why you are sitting down here, you are writing things down, you are taking records of it. Not only to record, not to be wise, not to be an encyclopedia, but a person who will carry on with this practice to find that ultimate happiness called Nibbana. So, Bahusutta part you understand. Okay, let's talk about effort. Effort, although I tried many times, effort is the same. You cannot come up with a different perspective when it comes to effort in Buddhism. What is the right effort that we talk about every day? During one of my talks, I explained in like abandoning, effort through abandoning, effort through avoiding. What are we trying to avoid? Unwholesome. We are trying to avoid the 10 things that we discussed. Okay. Effort by overcoming. What is overcoming? We are overcoming anything that is described above. Okay, now people might say, okay, alcohol intoxication is not a problem according to those 10 things. But if there is a substance problem with me, how can I overcome? What we are actually addressing, we are not, please understand, alcohol is not the problem, your behavior is the problem with alcohol. So, how to overcome your akusalas is dependent on that. So, the 10 unwholesome things that we talk, you have to overcome. What is the third one? Effort to develop. Effort to develop. Develop what? To do everything that goes against those 10 things. Okay, now tell me the 10 wholesome deeds in Buddhism. Okay, first one is generosity. Give another term, please. I will soon be finishing, don't worry. Dana. Second one, Sila. We already talked in detail how you should be keeping your Sila. Third one is Bhavana, mind cultivation. We also talked of ways doing meditation about jhana and indriya samvara. And Vayavacha. Vayavacha means you volunteer. Okay? You become a volunteer. How are you volunteering? You come here. What is a working bee? What is a working bee? Yeah, getting together and doing something wholesome. Working bee is volunteering. Vayavacha, apachaya, respecting the respectable. Are you doing that? You bow down, you treat monks, you take care of monks, you help monks. This is called apachaya. Dhamma savana. You listen to Dhamma. Dhamma sakacha, discussion. My talk will be followed by a Dhamma discussion, yes? They will have a discussion at 12:30. Patidana, sharing merits. Pattanumodana, receiving merits. And the last one is Ditthijukkamma, taking an effort on maintaining the right view as a Buddhist, according to the reality and truth. Okay, can somebody please repeat these 10? Why you get amnesia after a Dhamma talk? Dana, Sila, Bhavana, volunteering, Vayavacha, Apachaya is respecting the respectables. It doesn't mean only monks, parents, teachers, whoever that keeps to good conduct. And sixth one, Dhamma discussion, Dhamma listening to Dhamma, talking Dhamma, sharing merits and receiving merits collectively, and right way. Very good. So we have to balance this. There's no balancing about akusalas. You have to forget akusala and always remain with these 10 good deeds. Okay, effort is one. Do you understand the effort part? Yes. Now there are two more. Sati. When you say sati, what is that? What is samma sati? We talk about this again and again. There's a major sutta in Buddhism for sati. Yes? Anapanasati, very good. One is Anapanasati. But Satipatthana, 4 foundations of mindfulness is called Samma Sati. What is the first one? Kayanupassana, Vedana, mindfulness of your body, awareness of your body, awareness of your feelings, awareness of your emotions and feelings. And the last one? Dhammanupassana, awareness of your mind. Please, when somebody says you should be aware of your body, how many ways can you do that? In how many ways?
9.
Huh?
9.
9? Okay, I don't know. You always say very good for everything. Okay. In Satipatthana Sutta, how many ways does Buddha give us to contemplate on our body? Sorry? No. If you take the whole Satipatthana Sutta, we have 21 kammatthanas. 21 ways that we can contemplate on all these 4 segments of Satipatthana. But when it comes to Kayanupassana, there are 14 altogether. The first one, mindfulness of breath. Anapanasati. So if somebody is doing Anapanasati Bhavana the proper way, you are doing Kayanupassana. You are being aware of your body. Second one is Iriyapata. When you say Iriyapata, posture. Postural meditation. How many postures do we know? 4. First one is sitting, lying down, walking. Karnimetta Sutta, Tittancharan Nisinova Sayanova. Yes. These 4 postures you have to maintain as a meditation. That's why we do walking meditation. As long as somebody is doing walking meditation, they are doing what? Kayanupassana. The third one is clear comprehension. Sati Sampajanya. If you can go beyond these 4 postures into keeping your mindfulness in everything that you do in your daily life, if you can convert your mindfulness into every posture, every movement, in everything that you do, it becomes clear comprehension. That is called Sati Sampajanya. What is the 4th one? Just think. Yes, Pilikul. We call it the Kaya Gata Sati. Reflecting on your 32 parts of the body. I will not talk about the 32 parts of the body. You are already aware of it. Yes, because everybody is hungry. And okay. What's after Kaya Gata Sati? Dhatu Manasikara. You reflect on your elements. How many elements do we have? 4 elements. We call these 4 elements meditation. And what is the 5th one? No, space doesn't come here. 9 bodies or the cemetery meditation, Nava Sivatika. So those 9 bodies are all 9 separate kammattanas. No, 9 plus 5 equals to 14. These are the 14 ways that you can be aware of your body. But are you aware of it? No. Please take these things into detail. Be bahusutta, sunata, listen, chareta, charata, hold them and apply them in your everyday life. Okay, now mindfulness is also finished. The 6th one is Shraddha. You know what faith is? What is faith? How many how faith is divided in Buddhism? Please tell me. First, there is amulika saddha. Amulika means baseless. Yeah, you see a monk. I know, this is how, monks explain other monks. I'm sorry, I cannot come up with another way. You see just from the outward experience, you expect somebody to be virtuous, with supernatural powers, Why politicians are so deceiving? Like that. With their talk, with their promising talk. So the Shraddha is baseless. This is called Amulika Shraddha. The next one is Akaravati Shraddha. Akaravati Shraddha means analytical. You come to a faith, you come to an understanding, your faith is resolute through clear understanding, after being so sure. These are the two types of Shraddha in Buddhism. Amulika Shraddha, Akaravati Shraddha, whatever that is, your faith in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Noble Path, and Kamma Phala. Do you understand? Yes, the last one is wisdom. You have to have a certain amount of wisdom if you want to get enlightened. That's why Buddha says this Dhamma is not for fools, but for the wise. So, also you should not forget, when you say wisdom, Sekha-sutta is for the person who is on the below levels of enlightenment. Mainly a Sotapanna. So they have already acquired a certain level of wisdom. What is the wisdom that you have when you are a Sotapanna? You don't have the false view to your body. Then, Silabhata Paramasa, you won't be going after all other rituals and all other different, Sai Baba and Naga Baba. No, we are not going after anybody. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha is the only master. And what is the third one? There will be no doubt through wisdom itself. So what is the wisdom that we should have on a daily basis? We should be aware, we should understand that all Nama Rupa, materiality and mentality is of the nature to arise, change and pass away. This is the wisdom in general. So let me conclude my Dhamma talk today. I think you have enough training rules if you want to follow within this year and beyond. So please be determined to carry on with your practice, applying these rules in your day-to-day practice. Not only listening to Dhamma is important, but following these rules. This sutta comes in Majjhima Nikaya, the second 50. I think it's the third sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. What is the middle 50? Yeah, middle 50 discourses. And if you want to go into detail how you want to tame your senses, you can also refer to the last sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, Indriya Bhavana Sutta. Very interesting if you can sit down and do. Very nice. Okay. So I will talk about that later on a different day. I'll be coming here on the 25th also. Just before that evening I'll be leaving to India. Kora was saying about there's a donation box outside for my temple. It's not for my temple. I don't have a temple. I believe it's for my travel expenses. So yes. So that's about my plans. I'll be going to the Himalayas this time. I have been there before, but from another side, but from the Tibetan side this time. I'm going to make it from the Rishikesh, if you have heard of Rishikesh. Beatles have been there. So, that's about it. And thank you very much for listening to my talk. I hope you will take this Dhamma to transform yourself. And it's more happy to see really practicing individuals when it comes to Buddhism, and Buddhist people should be always practicing. That's the idea. Okay, I will give you a blessing and conclude my Dhamma talk.